say Wello.
I did not start off with Willow, but Wello.
What's up sounds so 90s. No.
I mean, I was born in the 19th century, so
Yeah,
no, I was born in the 20th century, the 1900s. There we go.
You were born in the 1900s, sir.
I was, as were you.
Oh, yeah.
Man, what's good? What's good?
Everything.
Everything's good.
Life is good.
Bet. I'm a bit excited about the episode today.
Are you?
Yeah, because I think it's going to be fun.
Because we're fun people.
We are. I think we're very fun people. We have polled a few folks. To ask their opinion about today's topic. Not opinion, just life experiences and stuff like that.
Yeah, what they want to hear.
For sure.
The people have spoken.
They have. But before we get too far into it, bling, bling, like, subscribe. There'll be a little bell that shows up over there.
If where your finger is not where it's at?
It'll be close enough. I do all the editing.
Like it's.
I think it might be like and subscribe right here, but there is going to be a pink bell over there next to you. So I know where that's at.
What if it's purple?
It's not.
Okay.
I control that. So anyway, for sure, definitely algorithms matter, and liking and subscribing, and it helps push the show to the top of people's lists, and it gets us more exposure. And if you're finding value, we'd love for you to share it with your friends, your family, your homies, your homegirls, all that good stuff.
Your people.
Your folks.
Your non-people. Just share it.
There you go. Without further ado, though.
Hey, did you know?
What's up?
That one of my Instagram people had DM'd me and was like, "Yo, Tickety Talk famous. You got reposted on the Tickety Talk." And I was like, "What?"
What?
It was Tayden's video.
Oh.
It was like one of those humor reels.
Yeah.
And he made it on the reel.
Really?
But don't tell him that because,
No, we ain't sharing that one with him.
He got big head like his daddy.
Hold up. What? How did I get brought into it?
You have really great confidence, by the way, if you didn't know.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I'm an encourager.
You something. You definitely something.
Well, yeah.
Okay. Bet. On to the show topic.
Okay.
Today.
Drum roll, please.
Today.
Today, not today.
Today. We are going to be talking about, is it wise, is it good to live together before you're married?
Live together before you're married.
There you go. So before we get too deep into it, I have to give a little disclaimer. So there you go.
That's loud. Buddy.
Warning. Explicit content.
Had your kids, had your wife, and had your husband because
There we go. There we
like
go.
That was a lot.
So
Is it gonna be that explicit? My gosh.
I mean, definitely the topic we'll get to at some point in time is having sex. Having sex before marriage, what that looks like. Is that healthy? Is that something you should be doing? I think most of the folks that watch us or who may watch us, they kind of know where we stand with that as far as being a biblically based marriage, whatnot. Right. But we're going to talk about it just from a normal day-to-day standpoint. Like, is that a good thing to kind of expose that portion of yourself? So that's what I think is going to be the explicit part. But to get into things, overall, what are your thoughts, your general thoughts on the topic to get started with?
What are my general thoughts on the topic of living together before marriage?
Yes. Healthy, unhealthy, wise, unwise. What you think?
I mean, we did it.
We did do it.
We did it. Was it wise? Probably not. Was it healthy? I can't even say it was healthy. I mean, I guess it just depends on where you are, right, in life. But from our foundational standpoint, it's not something we should do. It's not something that is encouraged or that we encourage. But I can see the good and I can see the bad in it. Again, it's not what we encourage to do because we have done it and it wasn't the smartest idea. It wasn't the best idea based off of our experiences. So yeah, I guess that's where I stand on it.
Okay.
It could be a gray area for most.
It could be. I don't think it's wise. Right. We did do it ourselves. And I think it just can complicate things too much. Now, with that being said, I've seen people do it, and there's always exceptions to the rule, and it's not. Some people it works for them, some people it doesn't, right? But like you said, what we stand on, what we believe, we don't think it's a good thing.
Right.
So with that, I do have an article from the New York Times, and it was written about 10 years ago, but the New York Times, an opinion piece, and it is a therapist talking about one of her clients. And kind of skip forward. At 32, one of my clients had a lavish wine country wedding. By then, Jennifer and her boyfriend had lived together for more than 4 years. The event was attended by the couple's friends, family, and 2 dogs. When Jennifer started therapy with me less than a year later, she was looking for a divorce lawyer. She said, I spent more time planning my wedding than I spent happily married. She sobbed. Most disheartening to Jennifer was that she tried to do everything right. My parents got married young, so of course they got divorced. We lived together. How did this happen? And it just talked about different statistics of cohabitation. And there are some statistics out there that show you are 50% more likely to get divorced if you live together first. So that being out there, that being said, how do you think that affects people's outlook on cohabitation in marriage? Like, what do you think culture says most about it today?
I think it says that we don't have to be committed. You know what I mean? You have the choice to live together, but I can also have the choice to just peace out and leave if things don't work out. I think there's nothing that's holding me there, but something tangible. I'll pay my way out. You know what I'm saying? Like I can pay my way out of it. I can leave you with a bill. You can leave me with a bill. I think it's very laxed. It's very lax. Commitment has become very laxed in our society. It's not something that that most people, I believe, are willing to do anymore. So I think living together, you're playing house, right? You're not married.
Yeah.
But most people would say, well, we've lived together X amount of years, so we're basically married. Under Texas law, you are married if you live together long enough.
Yep.
You're common law by that point, but there's nothing, and most people will say that it's just a piece of paper.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. Like marriage is not a big deal these days.
Yep.
But you're also not finding marriages lasting longer than 5, 10, 15 years anymore.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
Without the work put into it.
Yeah. We've been married 15 years and we are on the extreme veteran side for
our generation.
Yeah.
Or for our age group.
Yeah,
really.
for sure.
So, it's just, I think culture has made it very easy for us to not take commitments as serious.
Yeah.
Or to put our own definition on what a commitment is.
Yeah.
Just because I live with you doesn't mean I have to get married to you.
Yep.
We can still be together. There's nothing wrong with that. We're still together. We're living together.
Yeah.
We would live together if we were married. So what's the difference?
Yeah.
But there's something that happens when you get married, when you essentially tie with one another and become one. There's a lot that falls into that doesn't feel like, you're just with your boyfriend anymore. You're just, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like we're just dating. There you go. It doesn't feel like we're just dating anymore. There's some real backing to this. Like we got real estate together now. So I mean, people, get in situations for, I believe, multiple reasons, whether it's finances and they decide to, my lease is ending, your lease is ending. We've been together for X amount of time. I do want to be with you. So why not just live together? Because this is the natural next step.
Right.
But then how many of those people get married within that time? Or is there a time frame?
Yeah.
Or do you get comfortable enough where you're like, well, we're already doing all the things, so.
And I think there lies a really slippery slope, right? Because I think it's easier to go from, it seems like cohabitating, living together is something that a lot of people slide into. Like you slide in somebody's DMs, right? Because you start dating and then you're hanging out over at their place or your place more often. So then it's like, well, I'll just bring a few clothes over here since I'm here more often and blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, well, we're together all the time. We enjoy each other's company. So, why not start living together? You split bills. It's more financially viable. And I mean, real talk in, 2023, just with the economic landscape of things that's happening, like, I mean, it's making, $60,000-$70,000 a year is, just barely kind of making it at this point in time, which is, that's crazy to think of. I know, people making six figures that are like scraping by and they're not like poor, stewards of how they manage their money and different stuff like that. It's just, you live in different places, different economics. So, I can see why people do it. But also how easy it is to slide into. So like one of the things that it talked about in another article was how people, it's a slippery slope that they slide into. And then after so much time passes by, it's like, how did we get here? What happened? And then it makes it that much more difficult to get out of it once you've been in it 5, 6, 7 years. And then a lot of folks become complacent. And even if they're not happy in the relationship, they stay because of now there's things to break apart, financial assets, different stuff like that you've, bonded together.
Do you also believe it's a pride thing? Like
what do you mean?
For men, right? Like I've been in it this long. So
it very well could be. Yeah. If
I leave now, like that undoes everything that I said.
Yeah, I would fully agree with that. It's man, I failed. I don't want to be a failure at things. I don't want to, look like I couldn't succeed, like I couldn't make this work, like I couldn't make it happen. Like no, especially male ego, like don't want to be looked at as a failure. Don't want to feel like a failure. Right. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, it could be. Yeah. So I'd agree with that.
I mean, I'm sure some people will also argue marriage is just as easy to get out of as well. Just as easy as getting out of a lease agreement. I'm sure some people will come back at us with that.
I'm sure they'll try to make that argument. It's definitely not. I've talked to multiple people who are like, we lived together for years and then when we got married, things still changed. Like it was still different. Not that they changed houses or anything like that, but there was a shift. Like either way, when you go from just living together to being married together, it makes it harder to get out. Like even if you had all those financial things and everything like that beforehand, now that you're, legally married, whatever religion you may or may not be, whatever, if you sign paper on the dotted line, like it makes things more challenging and more difficult. Right. And there is a commitment there that is harder to get out of. I mean, there's no two ways about that. That's true. But a little bit about our backstory. Like you said, we lived together before we were married. And that kind of happened as well. So at the time your mom had passed away. So I had started, I didn't want to leave you alone. So I started staying over at the house with you. And I guess even a little prior to that, you had a townhome and I was staying over there more often.
I was so dumb.
We can get into that story later.
I was so dumb.
But so I was staying over and it was on the other side of town from where I actually lived. So it was also more convenient because I worked over there as well. And then mom passed away with you more often, then just started staying over there. I brought a few clothes, brought a few more clothes. And it was just, I mean, I loved you. You loved me. It was like, it was it. Yeah. And we were in marriage counseling And we even, like, I started sleeping in a separate room because it can always it will always muddy things when you throw sex in the mix.
Yeah, man. I mean, it makes it more convenient to have sex. We have our own place to do it.
Bet.
You're not staying with your mama. But it makes it also convenient when your person has their own place. So, but yes, it just makes it more convenient.
Yeah.
It does. I mean, which also is something like sex before marriage. Like, you start doing married things without being married. You know what I'm saying?
Man.
So you playing house, man. You playing house.
That's a bar, folks. That's a bar.
You're playing house. And again, I'm not looking my nose up at anybody. Nope. I am not turning my head at anybody. We did it.
This is coming from a place of wisdom. Like, we've been there.
Right. And I mean, now, granted, a lot of people are like, well, I wanted to see what it was like. We wanted to make sure that this is something that we wanted.
Yep.
But I think we were talking about this the other night. We listened to Upset the Gram.
Yeah.
And
shout out to Tim Ross.
Upset
the Gram. The Basement,
boy,
man.
He be telling the things.
The Basement. Love that podcast.
But he talked about red flags becoming pink flags.
Man.
And things that now look like would have been a deal breaker back then.
Yeah.
You start to bend for. You
compromise.
And that goes in with having sex before marriage. And it's so easy, which we talked to one of our friends. Him and his girl abstained from having sex for a few months, but it didn't stick. But they also abstained from it because they're like, man, we're not seeing things clearly. We need to kind of pull back. We need to, man,
that booty will make you do things you shouldn't be doing. That's real talk.
So
that's real talk.
Those red flags don't look like red flags anymore.
They don't.
And it's stuff that you are now starting to just be okay with.
Yep.
Now, granted, your list of here's what I want in a spouse and a mate become very different when the older you get or the more you become deeper spiritually.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, you're if you were in a relationship prior and you're like, man, here's what I won't do the next time around.
Right.
But things get muddy.
Yep.
Things get muddy.
Yep.
You're starting to, you playing house. You're playing house. And it's so easy to just be like, you know what? I just don't feel like it anymore.
Yeah.
Now, again, people may say, well, it's just as easy to leave too. That's the culture we live in. It's so easy for people to just back out.
Yeah.
Instead of putting the work in. And that's in anything. That is in anything in our culture. People don't want to work. People don't want to put in the hard work in anything, whether it's their career, school, relationships. And this is any relationship, not just a relationship with your significant other, your partner. This is relationships just with friends.
Yeah.
I'm not willing to put in the work. Now, there are times when you just shouldn't because boundaries, which are healthy. But again, that's going off on another tangent. So
Thomas Edison had a quote that
Thomas Edison.
That's right. Okay. See, we educated up in here. But
he
said opportunity is often overlooked because it wears overalls and looks like work.
Oh.
I mean,
preach.
Every day.
Ain't here no more.
Every day this marriage is an opportunity.
Absolutely. It's a choice. I'm choosing the hard.
I'm choosing to work.
I'm choosing to put in the work.
Yeah.
I'm choosing to fight the battles. I'm choosing to stand with you daily. I'm choosing for you to lead me. So if I'm choosing all these things, there has to be a greater outcome.
Yeah, for sure.
There has to be.
Yep.
Whether it's learning about myself, learning about my spouse, whatever it is, there has to be some breakthrough that comes out of that.
Yeah. For
sure.
Yeah. So, so we talked to a few different people about this topic and how they felt. And one of them, he just a lot of wisdom and knowledge. And it was a really great conversation. And he is divorced and has grown kids.
Yeah.
But is currently in a relationship.
Has been in a relationship.
Yeah, been in a relationship for years, almost 10 years or something like that. But not married and don't live together either.
Yeah.
And so we asked like, hey, what's the thought process behind that? Like, why do you feel that? And he was like, I just don't think it's a good idea because I never want to be in a situation like move into her place and be like, you know, you get mad, have an argument, and like get your stuff and get out of my place. Or on the opposite side, you know, she moved into his place and be like, you know, get your stuff, your kids, whatever, and y'all get out of my house. He was like open to moving into a place that would be like ours, like theirs together.
Because they would have been a blended, they are a blended family.
Yeah.
So to speak now. And so, I mean, she has kids.
Yeah.
He has kids. His kids are grown.
Yeah.
I think her kids are high school age.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
there's all kind of challenges that you mentioned there, different parenting styles, and different foundational beliefs, which was interesting that he said that was something that probably should have been talked about in the beginning of the relationship and wasn't, which is surprising is not the right word, but it's just interesting now that they've been together this long and look back on it, it's like, man, that's something that we should have started out with, which goes back to what your thought process when you're getting into that relationship.
Yeah.
Living together, not living together, making those choices.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, he was very honest.
Yeah.
And
loved his candor and vulnerability.
Oh
it was
my
huge.
gosh, yeah. But he has, I mean, he's just real. He's real like that.
Yep.
But at the same time, I mean, he also talked about, you know, should they do it now moving forward? It's a regression in their relationship.
Yeah.
And that's like, wow. How do you see that as regression and not progression?
Right.
Like, you know what? Okay. Yeah, we've been together this long. Yeah, we do live separate.
Yeah.
But I do stay at your house. You stay at my house. If we need time to chill, or if we're not working out, we go to our separate. You know, we go to our corners. And we chill out. I have my place. You have yours.
Yep.
We can be together. You know.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of flexibility in their relationship when it comes to that. So we asked the question. So what if now you decide, or you know, obviously you have to both agree, but you decide to, you know what, maybe we just should, we've been doing this long enough, we should just move in.
Yeah.
And it was like, nah, I think it would regress us. There's nothing to grow because of where we are.
Yeah. He was
Which
very
is surprising that, you know, he felt that there was nothing to grow off of.
Yeah.
That doesn't look like growth to him. That looks like regression to him.
Right.
So, you know, where you look at marriages, you should only be growing together, not apart.
Right.
When the work's put in, you should be, you know, each other's helpmate. You should be finding common ground. And
for sure.
So to see it like that, which again, I mean, he's not married to her. He's just been in a long committed relationship. So, you know,
which they took a hiatus for a minute.
Yeah.
Because some things popped up, and that's the difference between being married and not married. Like you can do that.
Right.
You know, when you're married, I mean, it's a lot harder to do that. I mean, I guess you could do that, but it makes it a whole lot harder to be able to, you know, take a hiatus from the person you're living in the same house with and stuff like that. And so, it was just interesting. And he even dropped a line and was like, man, I should have worked more on my first marriage. Like I should have put the work in. I should have put more work in, and like worked into it and stayed there. Yeah. Which was, I was like, wow, that's, I mean, hindsight's always 20/20.
Right.
But to have the life experience and stuff like that, and then to look back and say, you know, I wish I would have, or I should have, that's like, wow. And that's not saying that he regrets where he is now by any means. But that's just, again, that's the effect of hindsight.
I think what happens too is you realize what you want and what you don't want in a relationship, right? And so some things now become my deal breaker. I will never let this person hurt me the way that I was hurt before.
Yeah.
So in order to make myself safe in the situation, I'm not going to do A, B, and C. I will never get married again. You know, I won't I won't do it because here's what happened to me in the past. And so if I choose not to get married and, hey, we could just be together, then we're good. But then I believe that just also doesn't deal with, one, the trauma of your first relationship and getting over these things that you probably should have gotten over a long time ago and found freedom in.
Yeah.
You know, and then how much is it really holding you back from this new relationship?
Yeah.
How much of yourself is being exposed and vulnerable to this new person that you say you're putting your all into? Because if it's so easy for you to say, I'm not willing to do this and I could pick up and leave, I don't really see very much commitment there.
Yeah.
You know, and now again, granted, you have kids now together, you know, things progress. Now you have kids together. Now you have, you know, we buy a house, not just an apartment. We buy our own house.
Yeah.
Or, you know, he also talked about we would never move into mine. Too much history. Had, you know, I had relationship in this home. Too much history. Your house, I would never want to move in there. You know, also the dealing with at the time, I think, was it the kids? I don't want you around the kids, or, you know, they're still young. And if we're not for real, I don't want to make anything messy, which we did.
Yeah.
I didn't want you around Jay.
I wasn't around Jay for a while when we got back together.
And, you know, and that was out of respect for you, for Deshaun, for myself, for Jalen. I mean, why put you or any of us in that situation if this ain't for real? You can leave tomorrow.
Right.
And again, I know some people will be like, well, you could just jump out of a marriage. But that's not what it was designed to do. That's not something that should be so easy to uncommit to.
Right. And that's where you have to go back. I mean, we're very open about where we stand.
Yeah.
The foundations that we stand on. We fully believe in a biblical marriage, committed relationship, stuff like that, right? But if you go back to when you look at marriage, you have to, there's something called like the law of first mention. And so that is the original definition of something or the design of it, right? So you have to look at what marriage was originally designed for, and, you know, whether you believe or you don't believe, like, marriage was designed by God, and how he sets out the definition for it and what it's supposed to look like and things like that. So when you do it according to, it's like, if I'm driving a Ferrari, I can't go look at a Hyundai owner's manual and it's going to work out right. If things go wrong, how to fix it, different stuff like that. Like, it's just not going to work out.
Right.
I need to go back to the source, back to the dealership, back to the factory that actually designed that car and use that owner's manual.
Right.
And so that's like, if God designed marriage, you have to do it that way.
Right.
That's how it's going to be best.
Right.
If you believe that, whether you don't believe that, I mean, it's still the truth.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
is it a deal breaker? Maybe for some, I don't know for others, but is your spiritual walk, what you believe in, is that something that makes or breaks living together or being together? Is that something that should be considered? Crickets.
Based upon my opinion or based upon folks we've polled?
Both.
So based upon folks that we've polled, it's a factor, but it seems like a loose factor. Like,
if it works in their bubble, if it works in their favor,
if it works in their favor, or like that that's it's hard to explain. So it's like yes, it should be, and it is something that is taken into consideration. However, it's like, I know where I've been, and I think I know the consequences, because everybody thinks they know the consequences up front, but that's the thing about consequences. You don't get to choose them, right?
True.
So I think I know the consequences, and I'm willing to accept the consequences that come with doing X, Y, and Z.
Right. That's between you and Jesus.
Yeah, that's not.
And again, it's there. Listen, God gives us grace. There's a grace in the things that we do that probably shouldn't have grace for, but there's grace that's given sometimes.
That's the kicker right there.
You don't know. You know what I'm saying? You don't know what that grace looks like.
Yeah.
You know,
everybody has a different measure of grace. So something that Abby might be able to get away with for 50 years, I might be able to get away with for 50 days.
Right.
I don't like, it's not fair. That's just not how it works.
Right.
So, so I think that your spiritual walk or foundation or whatever, it plays a role as much as you want it to, that it feels good. Because oftentimes what happens is when it begins to, and if we're talking about this from a spiritual biblical standpoint, right?
Right.
When it begins to make you uncomfortable, because that's exactly what the Bible is designed to do.
Yeah.
We're supposed to change our thought, our pattern, our will to God. It's not the other way around, right? So when it's like, okay, this is what I want to do, but this is what the Bible says to do.
Right.
I don't feel like it. So I'm going to keep doing what I want to do.
Right.
And at the end of the day, it's willful disobedience.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's deliberate. If you want to, run with the consequence with that, bet I'm not going to try and stop you,
Yeah.
But is it?
And this isn't to say your marriage won't be blessed if you ever get married. Your relationship won't be, or you're going to just live this, awful life. No, not at all. Oh my gosh. Our friend he's doing amazing. He's doing great.
Yep.
His girl's doing great.
Yeah.
I mean, they're doing great together. They have goals, and their goal is to get married eventually at some point.
Yeah, for sure.
And it was talked about, man, do we move in together?
Yep.
And these are real conversations like, hey, here's what we believe, because we do have a foundational biblical value that we want to live up to. We do also want to show our kids, because they have 2 young girls, with past relationships. So, hey, we want to show our daughters, like, there's commitment here. This is a home. This is, we're a family. And so,
and mind you, they don't live together yet.
They don't live together yet.
Yeah, they don't live together.
They're looking at the possibility of moving in together. But if they do, they know at that point they will not be married. They will not be married yet. That's something that they want to look at in the future.
Right.
But as of right now, they're both having a hard time, even just in general, moving in with a partner.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they've had this conversation over and over again.
Our boy has had past relationships. I don't know. Was he married? I can't remember if he told us he was married.
Nope.
No, but he moved in young.
Yeah.
He moved in young.
Yeah.
He worked in the oil field. So he really didn't feel like he was living with somebody, because he was never home.
Yeah.
So it was like an Airbnb and somebody to come home to,
Yeah,
which is always nice. And then it just didn't work out.
Right.
Then he was with, his baby's mom. And they tried to work that out and whatnot. So, I mean, there's different situations that had happened along the way, and that has brought him to this relationship. And here's the things that, they both are like, I didn't have a great experience with these past relationships and with living together.
Right.
So I don't condone it. I don't believe it's a good idea. I tell my young friends and people that are like, oh my gosh, I'm so in love with this dude, he's the one that's like, listen, don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
Red flag.
Yeah.
Don't do it. You've only been together XYZ. Don't give in.
And it goes back to, a lot of time that decision gets made after you've been smashing.
Listen, sex makes things really foggy, y'all. Sex makes everything foggy. Sex feels good.
It feels amazing.
Why should I listen? Like, why fight when we could just have sex and make up?
Bet.
Why deal with the issue?
Let's go do that.
We're in the middle of a show.
Oh, sorry.
We're not even fighting, bro.
Okay.
Ugh. How did we get here, guys?
Continue.
Okay. I don't even know where I was.
You said, why fight when we can just have sex to make up?
Truth.
You're right. It does make things foggy.
Or you get so heated, it's, man, you looking real good right now.
Fam,
or we never finish. I mean, this has happened to us.
Yeah.
And these are over the years.
Yeah.
Even us being married, this has happened, is where we have fought. We have not finished the conversation. we might have finished what we said.
Yeah.
But the conversation was never done. We never came to a conclusion.
There's no root cause analysis.
There was no root cause analysis. We didn't, and then in the middle of the night, we're having sex. But then.
So it's like everything's good.
Everything's good. But then in my head, I'm like, man, we are not good. He just took advantage. He took advantage of a situation.
Yeah.
And now he thinks he could just get it whenever and this is going to fix everything. But then we don't bring it up later because we've already been past the subject. So what's the point?
So if sex, sleeping together can have that type of effect within a marriage, how much more damaging could it be outside of a marriage?
Man, I think people feel like there are levels. Because again, then it comes back to, here we are again in the full circle of, I can leave. I'm not tied to you.
Yep.
I'm not tied to you.
Yep.
I can leave. Society says I can leave. I do what I want. If I feel like leaving this marriage and I'm gonna blow my money, or leaving this relationship and I'm gonna blow my money, whether it's with marriage or whether it's without, why get married and complicate things more financially, which I think they both talked about was, man, there's bills. Now we got bills. We got to separate the bills. We got to separate the money. We got to, who's going to stay until the end of the lease? Who's not going to stay?
Yep.
There's all these things that we have to, and it's more work to do that. So I don't feel like it.
Yeah.
But if I keep certain things in my name, if it's under your name, if these are, hey, should anything happen, we can easily split. But we're good. Nothing's going to happen. But you just gave yourself an out.
Yeah.
You just gave yourself an out. You gave yourself a plan B. Because at any point you piss me off and I feel like that was the straw, I'm done. I can leave. Keep the kids too. They expensive. I'm going to Mexico. No, I'm not going to Mexico because they shoot up people in Mexico.
Yeah, man. Tourists that died and that got kidnapped.
Yeah, but oh my gosh.
Wrongly? Like they were the wrong people that got kidnapped?
They was, but look how nice the cartel was. I was like, man, we're sorry.
Right.
We got the wrong people.
It wasn't even the cartel that actually kidnapped it. So if I read the article correctly, and this is off on a tangent, but either way, it wasn't actually the cartel that did the kidnapping.
Nope.
The cartel found the people that did the kidnapping and then killed them and laid them out on the street and was like, these are the people that did your kidnapping. We're so sorry.
I think so. But I know that they were like, man, my bad. We got the wrong people. You look like them other people.
Yeah. So
we gonna go get the other people.
That was wild.
They was wrong for that.
That was wild.
Because we didn't tell them to do that.
That was wild, yeah.
So, honest cartel. But yes. There's a lot. Whether you think that there is nothing at stake, there is always something at stake.
Fam, I'm gonna let y'all know, real talk, here, there's no plan B.
Yeah.
In this marriage, in this relationship, there is no plan B.
Yeah.
I know for 100% fact, I cannot reach my full potential without this woman sitting across from me, and vice versa. Because we were designed to be together. And that's not that I have this belief that there's the one for everybody. There's only one person in the world for you. But when we were compatible and we came together and we got married, and that covenant got made, we began to become one and grow together. And I mean, there's a ton of things in my life that's changed. There's a ton of things in her life that has changed, stuff that we said we would never do or we wouldn't do. And we have a whole story of stuff we said we'd never do. But anyway, but just how we began to change and conform in a good way to each other. And we've grown, and so much good stuff has come out of it because, man, there's an extra grace and covering over a marriage versus not.
Yeah. That's real talk. That's truth.
I mean,
that's truth. I just, we need to quit taking commitments so lightly.
I'd agree with that.
People are always trying to change the culture, make it better, do better. Why isn't that one of the things? You know what I'm saying? Why isn't make commitment great again? You know what I mean?
Man, we about to, that's merch right there. That's merch right there. C&W show. Make commitment great again.
Make commitments great again. Why isn't commitment on a top priority?
Yeah.
Relationships.
Yeah.
Why isn't that a top priority in our society? Or do people think it is a top priority, but it's the skewed way that we look at it now?
I would say a lot of it's a skewed way we look at it, just because of like this whole new age thing, and it's just, man, you're a vibe and all this kind of stuff, and it's just like
vibe. What's a vibe?
It's just like, man, I love your energy, man. I can get with your energy, and I can be committed to that. But it's no, there's a difference in just saying, yes, I'm committed to you, I'm committed to this relationship, and there's versus saying, no, I want to get married and show my commitment and tie myself to you.
Yeah.
So that, when we're getting arguments and fights and it's getting ugly, like super ugly, and mind you, this also matters of having the right community around you.
Oh gosh,
but when it gets super ugly, I know that like divorce is not on the table.
Right.
Like, I know that's not coming. I know that that's not going to be something that gets thrown out. Well, how about we just get divorced then? Like in the middle of an argument. You know what I mean?
Oh man, you changed that so quick for me. Not quick. It took me a lot of years, but I didn't realize how much that hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, because obviously words matter, but even in saying, you know what, I don't have to stay in this. We can always pick divorce. We could always pick divorce. That was always the end option.
Yeah.
That was always a plan B. But until you're like, no, this is no longer an option. And if it's an option, then it needs to just be done.
Yep.
Because why are you making that? You'll always have an out, because in the back of your head, you already chose to have an out.
Yep.
You chose not to make this marriage work. You chose not to make this relationship work. Why are you looking at me like that?
Girl, you as fine as wine when you are spitting lines.
Listen, man, I just got my eyebrows done. I ain't got no makeup on today. Hopefully nobody actually watches it. No, I'm sure they watch it. But most people listen on the podcast.
No, we want people to watch it.
Oh, yeah. All right, watch it. But just make sure you put a filter on my face. Anyway, what was I saying? See, you be going off on them tangents. And I don't be knowing.
That's good. That's a legit tangent.
But what were we talking about?
I don't know. I'm just kind of mesmerized by you.
Mark Duncan. Oh, my gosh. People are going to be like, this is the worst episode ever. Boring.
No. You were talking about how we changed, shifted our paradigm over the years.
Yeah.
And how, divorce in the beginning of a marriage, you would kind of throw it out there.
We chose commitment.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, what we did was choose commitment. Yeah. We chose each other.
Yep.
And again, and I'm going to say this again, because I know people are like, well, I am committed. I'm living with you. We live together. We probably already had some babies. Yep. My kids are your kids are my kids. We got real estate now. And people have done it for years, and it works for them. And hey, that is great. That is good. And I'm happy for you. But I know for us, and what we now believe and what we now feel strongly about as a couple, and, seeing other young couples and counseling other young couples and counseling singles that are getting into that next phase of life for themselves.
Bam. Oh, singles, young people. Oh my God.
Because it is commitment is an issue in this generation.
Yeah.
Commitment's an issue.
Yeah.
Commitment isn't a big deal. Commitment is what you want it to be.
Yeah.
Not what it was designed to be.
Don't put labels on it. Let's just free.
Be.
Let's just vibe together.
And that's hard, because you know what? Women are emotional. Women like security. With security comes labels and things. And I mean, that is a number one priority for women. We want to feel secure. We want to feel secure in our relationship. We want to feel secure, where we are in life. Financial stability. You got my back.
Mm-hmm.
And so, with also tying in what society makes that look like, it is very easy to shift what it once was.
Yeah.
Because it still fits within and checks the boxes.
Yeah.
That's what I believe.
Yeah.
That's what I see. That's what I think. It checks the boxes.
Yeah.
It's not always a good thing.
Not at all.
It's a good thing.
Not at all. Yeah, man, this has just been
it's a very wide subject.
It is. There are a lot of different angles you can.
You know, what we did take from one of our friends that we spoke to when he talked about dating with a purpose. He really believes you should be dating for a purpose.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, what's the point?
Yep.
What is your purpose? What is your purpose in this relationship? You know, if you do end up in moving in together because you feel like, hey, this is the natural progression, do you put a time frame on, hey, we want to get married eventually?
Yeah.
You know?
Fam, we did it.
Is there a time frame? Are we gonna set a date?
Yeah.
Are we gonna set a date?
Yeah.
Because again, women are emotional.
Yep.
Men are very physical. I have now given you everything that you need. We are having sex. We live in a house. I cater to you. I cook. We play in house, bro. I'm making you your meals. We having babies. We doing everything. We doing it all. And now, granted, we're together and we're committed. But again, let one good fight happen. Oh, I have nothing to lose. You got yours. I got mine. This can be easily separated.
Let me go sleep with somebody else or go fall in love with somebody else or something like that. And man,
there's
commitment's probably out the window.
Which again, having sex before marriage creates a soul tie. There is a natural tie, spiritual or not.
Yep.
Whatever you believe in or not, there is a emotional connection that you feel for somebody when you have sex with them.
Yep.
And again, your red flags become pink flags. Things that you thought were going to not be so serious anymore, or that you took so seriously in the beginning and that you wouldn't bend for with this person, but now you've played house and had sex and doing house things.
Yep.
It's not that big of a deal anymore because you've excused the behavior.
Yep.
So why change now?
Yep. Man, I'm gonna tag the basement on this.
Man, he's so good.
We're gonna try and get on that show. That'd be so dope to have a conversation with him.
Would you fanboy?
No, not like that. But I mean, I've been listening to Tim Ross.
Ross, man,
for years while he's still the pastor. He was still the pastor up in Irving,
now he's
and
doing such big things with his podcast.
It's so cool, man.
Going 100% in.
The very first episode of The Basement, where he explained the meaning of it, I was like, oh my gosh, that's so just dope. And if you don't know what it is, I highly recommend it. If you're not subscribed over to that channel, definitely go.
That's some real
Instagram. It's Upset the Gram. On YouTube, it's The Basement, and it is a
Tim
dope
Ross.
podcast. Yeah,
Tim Ross.
Yep.
Man, he's good stuff.
Yeah,
he gives some
solid
wisdom, truth.
Yeah.
And you want to talk about him being raw and real, somebody being completely honest, you're going to get it.
Yep.
You're going to get it. But it does make you see things a lot differently. I think we posted about, going to our church's annual marriage conference.
Yep.
And again, every year we've been attending and supporting and doing
8 years straight.
9.
Okay.
This is year 9 doing it.
Okay.
And every year we learn something different.
Yeah.
Every year we learn something new about each other. Every year the bar gets set higher.
Yep.
For each of us.
Yep.
As individuals and as a couple, what we're going to do moving forward. Do we still practice the same things that are being taught?
Yeah. Do
you love God more than you love me?
Yeah.
Do I rely on you for security, or do I rely in the God in you for security? I mean, there's so many things that you look at and that you once thought was deal breakers that are either no longer deal breakers or what probably should have been taken more seriously when we were dating that are now, issues or things that we need to work through or revisit because we never dealt with it like we thought we did.
Yeah.
So.
And you see like the most successful marriages not just out of that group, but the most successful marriages are people who continue to work at it.
Yeah.
Consistently, constantly. And so that's why we've been 9 years straight. That's why, people that we know who have been married 20, 22, 25 years,
absolutely.
They put the work in consistently, constantly, every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
For sure.
Like I get to wake up every day and die to myself in order to serve my wife.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. And I do it willingly and joyfully, and it wasn't always like that.
Yeah.
But I understand what that means now. So,
Yeah. I mean, to each his own. If
Yeah.
you are not the one to, maybe marriage isn't for you, that's cool. If you feel like living together is, it's worked, man, more power to you. But again, if you were to ask us about what we believe based off of our experience and off of the things that we have learned doing it ourselves and being in other relationships, whether it was progression of, hey, because you were engaged, so, and you were having sex with her. So it was something that, well, I know I'm going to marry her, so I'm going to have sex with her. I know
that's not what happened
I got a baby with him, and we got married, and we didn't work.
Yep.
At the end of the day, man, had I not grown from that situation or that relationship and came into this, I would have never found you.
Yep.
Right? At the same time, had we not grown in our spiritual walk individually and things that we said, hey, this is what our foundational value is going to be.
Yep.
We probably wouldn't be where we are. I can guarantee we wouldn't be where we are. And I can guarantee that we wouldn't be growing the way we're growing. Yep. So again, if it's not your cup of tea, that's cool. I hope you still keep watching us. If it is your cup of tea, there's some things to think about. Is there a timeline?
Yeah.
Is there an end date to when you plan on being married? Or does that start to get blurry too? And you're like, oh, we live together and it's comfortable.
Yeah. Because I know when we were living together and our timeline was real short.
Yeah.
Because it was a couple months. It was a couple months that we were living together, and then we had counsel. We had counsel, and they were like, why don't y'all get married? If that's the end goal, why not get married now? What's stopping you?
And we worked with youth. Yeah. We worked with youth for many years at our old church, and we have seen quite a few of them now are having, they got married, they dated, they courted, they got married, they have babies. My cousin, before they got married, he moved in with us until they got married because his lease was up. Yep. So you can't tell me there aren't ways to go around this.
Oh, there's definitely ways around it.
There aren't ways. I think we talked about in the car, it's if we weren't together, you could sleep on a couch.
Yeah.
I mean, there's way there.
I tried sleeping in the other room for like 4 days.
Yeah.
It
clearly didn't work.
No, not at all.
And then we got married.
Because I was like, oh, she's fine.
And our boy said, she wants they also struggle with the fact that she wants a wedding. She wants a full-on wedding. Yeah. And that's also something.
Do it. Go get married at the JP and still have your wedding.
We did.
Yep.
I mean, we didn't have a big wedding.
No.
We got married at the JP.
We sure did.
But we got the wedding pictures 5 years later.
We did at our vow renewal. It was great. There's a picture of you on top of my Corvette right over there.
Yeah, it is.
I love that.
But I mean, again, if it's not your cup of tea, that's cool. I am.
Got a lover and a friend. That's cool.
That's cool. Listen, I'm rooting you on, and I hope things work out, and I'm sure they will.
Yeah.
That is something that you guys chose, and it works for y'all, and that's great. What we have seen for us is there are a lot of things that come with not committing. I think at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to, right? That it softens commitments. We're playing house when I wasn't designed to play house with you. I was designed to be with someone. Like, we weren't designed to be alone, but I also wasn't designed to place house with somebody that at the end of the day might have a plan B. Yeah. And I might have a plan B too. So then what does that say for my next relationship?
And that's
coming
the thing.
into this, if I have another relationship, like what is that? I don't know.
What
does that say?
I want to be a man of my word. And when I give my word, it actually means something and not just be a load of crap.
Yeah.
So I can stand here now and say, hey, when I speak, when I say something, it means something because I've done something over and over again consistently for a long period of time. I've shown myself to be trustworthy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when there's no commitment to something, there's no devotion to it. There's no, I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
No, I get you. I think there's a lot of traditions that have been lost over time.
Yeah. And they're not, and all those traditions aren't bad.
No. I mean,
some I get are dumb, religious, stupid stuff that shouldn't be there, but all of it's not bad.
Take religion out of it.
Yep.
I think that's a big thing, which shies people away from church and all these other things and values.
Yep.
Values that they once thought were a big deal, then have gotten hurt over time or whatever. So then these values are no longer, what they thought they once were. But traditionally, I mean, man, the tradition that comes with a marriage, the commitment of the tradition and what we have read about in the Bible and what God looks at that, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. I wish, do I regret a lot of things in life? No, because I think there's lessons to be learned in everything. But man, there are some things that I wish we had, or that we had time dating, like, but again, we also believe that, if you do plan on getting married, it should be a very short time.
We believe in short engagements.
We do believe in short engagements because that's less time for the enemy to come in and do things like this. Let's just move in together.
Yeah.
Let's just do A, B, and C. Then it takes away from the commitment, which takes away from values that you want to believe in or that you really feel strongly about.
Yeah.
So,
And then I just don't get it. Like, if you say, hey, I want to be married to this person, why do you need to be engaged for 2, 3, 4, 5 years if when either you asked them to marry you or you accepted being married? Like,
okay, I mean, our good friend, she knows somebody that they have been together for over 10 years, engaged
for 10 years.
Remember, she was talking about her friend that's like, they've been married. She been engaged for Dreadhead for.
Oh yeah.
For years. For years.
Yeah. Yep.
That man ain't that. Listen, that man ain't marrying you.
You ain't committed to nothing. Like, if you engage for a decade, fam, like, why? Like, you're wasting my time. Because you're either in or you're out. Like, you either want this or you don't. If you accept an engagement, if you give an engagement or you accept an engagement, that means you are ready to be married. I fully understand. Hey, we need to figure out living situations. We need to figure out jobs. We need to figure out different stuff like that. Totally understand. That makes sense. But when you're talking about 3, 4, 5 plus year engagement, no, you wasn't ready.
Yeah.
You just wasn't ready. So, I mean, you were talking about things that, not that you regret, but that you wish you could go back and do or could be different or whatever. And we've talked about it many times. We said it the other day. We were talking to somebody who's like, man, the one thing I wish that Abby would have been my first
for sure
person that I ever slept with, had sex with, that we would have been each other's only one. Like, we wish that.
Yeah. I love my son.
Absolutely.
We love our son.
Yes. 100%.
We love our son. We love the relationship that we have with his dad. I mean, there's there a lot of good has came out of
absolutely.
our blended family.
Yep.
A lot of blessing has came out of our blended family. A lot of testimonies came out of our blended family. But it is hard because
that's a bond that we didn't get to have with each other.
We didn't get to have. We didn't. And it's important. It's important. And it's important that we teach our kids that, because there is something very significant about that.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't, then people wouldn't make a big deal out of it.
Man, we talked about with one of the folks that we talked about for the show. We talked about the whole purity culture thing and what it was like growing up. And at that time it was just don't have sex because God said so. Blah blah blah. And that's created a whole issue in and of itself. Whatnot. But it's like, no, you don't have sex with somebody. Yeah, because God said so. But God said so because he's trying to protect your heart. Like, there's so many things, so much hardship and struggle that comes that can rip your heart apart. So then you're not prepared for the actual person you're supposed to be with, because your heart is damaged and wrecked from a situation you were never supposed to be in the first place. Like, I've seen it described as, when you have sex with somebody, it's like two pieces of paper being glued together, letting that dry, and then try to rip that apart. They are not going to...
pieces left over.
Yeah.
With one another.
Pieces on each side. There's no way that comes off clean. So it's just... And thankfully, by God's grace, we have overcome those things, and now our marriage is flourishing.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
Our story is not everybody's story.
That's
and there's no guarantee that our story will be your story.
Yeah. I mean, I challenge people. If you took the plan B out, what would life look like? What would life, I mean, just, I think people treat moving in together as a car rental. A test drive.
Yeah.
Let me test drive this.
Yep. For sure.
Let me just see what it's like. Let's see what life is like together. And if we like it, then we'll get married.
Keep it a buck for real.
But like, why? Like, why do that?
Yeah.
What is the point of test driving this when, on the other hand, I'm saying, hey, I'm committed. I ain't going nowhere. Like, I got your back.
Yeah. Because either you want this or you don't.
You want this or you don't.
It shouldn't be a maybe.
Mm-hmm.
We'll try it out. We'll try it out for a little bit. You know, if I like it, we'll go forward.
Because again, it's so easy to just get out.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get out. Or you want to look at the other way. It's so easy to stay in the same routine and same stagnant place. For years.
Yeah.
And again, your stagnant may look great. I am not downing anybody living together or even being together for so many years and it's worked for them. I think that's beautiful. That's great. That is great. And that you have, it's grown to having a family and doing whatever. But if something bad were to happen, would you still be in?
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest question. Yeah. If something were to be your final straw with one another, would you dip?
Yep.
Would you be out?
Yeah.
Also, at the same time, do you feel really as committed? Are you as committed as you say you are? And did you actually open yourself up as much as you think you have? Because you didn't deal with these past hurts that now have made you decide, I'm never getting married again. I'm not going to do this again. I'm not going to live with somebody again. I'm always going to have my own stuff, my own place. So at what point in time do you guys become one?
Yeah.
Like truly one?
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
So,
I don't know. I don't know.
Good thing we married.
Good thing we are married, man. I think final thoughts.
I ain't got no job. I wouldn't survive. I ain't got no money. Your money's my money.
We got money.
I wouldn't have lashes. I'd be bald.
Oh man.
I couldn't get my nails done. I couldn't get these eyebrows done by Freckles and Brad.
Yeah, we just got all the shout outs today.
Yeah.
Shout out to Penny Kicks, Savannah, Georgia. Rocking the Penny Kicks,
Georgia.
rocking the Penny Kicks shirts.
I do love my little Penny Kicks shirt.
Boy, J Truth put us on the Penny Kicks when we were in Savannah.
Yes,
dope spot.
Did.
Check it out if you're there.
Dope spot. Cool place.
Not
Savannah's
sponsored.
Just awesome.
We'll take a sponsorship though.
Man, I'll
stuff.
take a gift card to HEB. Eggs are expensive. I'll take gas money.
All right, folks. With that,
we out.
We are out the building.
Man, this is a long episode.
It was, but we're done now. Deuces.
Till next time.